Hello and welcome again to MCP TV. This is your humble host again, Cav Gallagher, and today we're going to be looking at Geometry Wars 3 Dimensions, latest installment in the beloved shooter franchise, and the first to have no involvement from its creator, Bizarre Creations, the much missed developer. Okay, so this time around they've made a couple of slight changes to the Geometry Wars formula. It kind of pulls from different elements from all the previous Geometry Wars games. The major change they've made this time, there's a couple of major changes. First of all, we have this adventure mode, which is basically just a series of levels that grab elements from different games. So there's different game types. There's boss fights now. There's Deadline mode, which is the mode from Geometry Wars 2, where you have infinite lives and have to score a certain amount of points within a certain time frame. And also you have Evolved, which is more your classic vanilla meat and potatoes kind of Geometry Wars, where you get 3 lives and basically have to score as many points as you can. The other major change that has been made is in the layout of the levels. And as you know, in the past, Geometry Wars has always taken place on a flat plane. For example, here we have this rectangular plane, only this time, as you can see, it's kind of twisted about. So as you fly around, your perspective of the actual level itself kind of shifts and undulates under you, and can get quite extreme in some cases. I'll show you one of the sort of the crazier versions in a minute. Yeah, I'd say that this new approach works better for me now than it did the first time I played the game. I originally played it at PAX Australia a couple of months ago, and was very sort of unsure about it. The problem is sometimes is because the game relies so much on precision and sort of spatial awareness and knowing where you are, where the enemy is, and being able to sort of negotiate these tight gaps. The way the levels twist around sometimes distorts that in a way that kind of makes it difficult in what can sometimes feel like a fairly cheap way. The level I'm going to show you in a minute, that can certainly happen. I've gotten used to it. I've probably played about an hour and a half, 2 hours of this so far, and it's working for me a lot more now than it was initially. As you can see, the basic elements are still there. We're still collecting geoms, these little green things, which are still growing the multiplier and giving you lots of cool new weapons like this 3-way shot here. Okay, so I pretty much I hit the basic target here, so I guess that round wasn't a complete wash. I'll skip forward a couple of levels and I'll show you one of the crazier ones. The Sausage Smash. Now, as you can see, you get a drone, which gives you various abilities. These, like the geoms, are taken from Geometry Wars Galaxies. That you unlock them as you go along, and they can have quite sizable effects on sort of your tactical approach to each level. Okay, now we've got this sausage level. Now, with this one's kind of fun, but again, the sort of warping of the level gives you very little space to maneuver at times. Another problem I've found, that this is a deadline mode level, so I've got infinite lives here, but I have to reach a certain score threshold. I think the minimum is 2 million points. What I've found with the deadline levels is there's this nasty tendency for enemies to sort of warp in a bit faster than normal, and usually right on top of your head. and you don't really get enough time to move out of the way. And that gets annoying because even though you have infinite lives, respawning costs you, 1 or 2 seconds. And that can add up, and that can get quite frustrating. It seems to be something that is tweaked only for these deadline levels, and I don't know, I wouldn't say it ruins them, but it does make them a little more annoying than they should be. That fine line between challenging and annoying, I don't know if they really avoid skirting that too closely. So here we go, we got 35 seconds left, and we're doing fairly crap here. We're only up to about 500,000. So what we're going to do, we're going to see if we can get a late burst in and see if we can hit that 2 million threshold. Yeah, again, from what I've seen, I mean, the more twisted the level, the more the game design seems to want to throw ridiculous amounts of enemies at you, and I'm not entirely sure if that works, to be honest. I get the idea of it, but I just think that it pushes it to the point of cheapness, and it becomes something that's maybe more annoying than it is fun. So, I mean, as you can see now, adventure mode is fairly long. I mean, I'm only up to here, and I mean, there's all these, and possibly more at the top. So, I mean, there's a lot to adventure mode. I mean, I don't know what kind of legs it's going to have, though, depending on, what they do with the level design and sort of, I guess, how reasonable they make it on the player. But nevertheless, here's the bit that makes the game still worth buying, is the classic section, the classic mode section. Here you get all of your well-known Geometry Wars modes. You've got Deadline, King, Evolved, Pacifism, and Waves. Now, these pretty much play exactly as you remember. I mean, one thing they have really sort of nailed very well is the feel of the controls. I mean, that still feels, pretty great. And as you can see, there's a little bit of the level warping going on here, but not too much. It's nowhere near as distracting or, as obstructive sometimes as it is in the adventure mode levels. So, I think, most of us, if we want our Geometry Wars fix, I think the adventure mode is going to be where we go for our first choice, basically. So you can see here, you've got your Evolved mode, which is basically the absolute sort of classic Geometry Wars mode from the first game. You've got 3 lives, and you have to score as many points as you can. You've got Deadline, which is on a timer. And you've got King as well, which is one of the stranger modes from Geometry Wars 2. Basically, you have these little shields that pop up and disappear after a few seconds. Now, the idea is you can only shoot while within these shields. Okay, so you're safe, you're shooting, and it's basically tactical. You've got to try and it's tactics and timing. You've got to work out when the safest time is to duck out, grab some geoms, and make it to the next shield, so you can shoot some more. It's a cool mode. It's a bit more tactical, a bit more methodical than a lot of the other Geometry Wars modes. And yeah, it's a really effective mode here. It was fun in Geometry Wars 2, and it's fun here as well. Okay, also on top of this, you have online multiplayer, you have local co-op and local multiplayer, which is really cool. For those of you with a friend and another joypad, we'll have a good time with this, I think. This is the PS4 version. It's pretty much been released on everything. It hasn't always been the traditional way with Geometry Wars. This is the PS4 version. It's also on Xbox One, Xbox 360, PS3, PC, and I believe Mac as well. So it's it's pretty much available quite widely. I mean, on every major platform that isn't called Nintendo, basically. And yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, as I said, the adventure mode, I think it could go either way. It's quite fun at the moment, but I do think that they might push it a bit too far here. But you've got your classic modes in here as well, so you've got that going as well. I think that's what most of us are going to be picking anyway. Let's face it. For those of you who love Geometry Wars and especially have a new gen console or on PC, and up for a slightly prettier version of Geometry Wars, this is a pretty reasonable choice. It's 20 bucks on the consoles, 15 I believe on PC. And yeah, it's definitely worth it. Alright, well thanks for watching guys, and we'll catch up with you next time.